Welcome back to FML. You know what we're about by now, I hope. This is the second part of Neil Aitcheson's episode. Like we said last week, he had us in stitches, and we couldn't just stop. It was and is an awesome episode. So thanks for coming back, and sit back, grab an Eco coffee, and enjoy the rest of Neil's ride.
So we asked FedDev for, we needed $122,000 to turn that empty lot into a little park. And we went through the process, and we were allotted the funds, and it was like, we got the money. So we built the park, and we finished
Wonderful.
the whole thing. And then the pièce de resistance, which is about the size of a turkey, is a beautiful sculpture done by,
Schmaltz.
yeah. So he did that piece. He did that piece for us. It was
nice.
different because it actually was a naked woman that was laying down, and then the township's like, you can't put a naked statue in the middle of a community park. So he went and he put
Pastor.
the shroud. He put a shroud over her and just her hand sticking out with some seeds. And then we planted a tree there because we talked about the concept with him, and he said, I want my children to come here later and understand why this is here.
That's
so we had a
beautiful.
tree put in right in front of it, and so there's a symbolism there. But it was taking a piece of nothing and making something of it to leave that legacy and make sure it doesn't change.
Oh, not neat. That's a good story. And Marcus, you say he's doing what he loves. He trained for law.
Yeah.
He worked with Bob Ray's law firm in Toronto. And Bob Ray and I were friends too, and he came to speak one night. I was being honored for something, Citizen of the Year or whatever, and Bob Ray and Ken Dryden and Lloyd Robertson, all these really neat people I'd met over my life, all agreed to participate. And Bob Ray showed up at Milo's funeral. He's an amazing Canadian. Now he's just
Bob Ray, absolutely.
He's just retired as the United Nations Canada's ambassador. And so he's coming home now, but what a job he did. He set the course down there and added a whole lot more to Canada's agenda. And he wasn't even asked to. He's a very, very contributing guy.
Well, this is like a history lesson for me, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, well,
Well, my Canadianship started I landed in 2000, and I became Canadian in 2019.
oh, wow, you're fresh.
It took me 20 years to decide if I really wanted to do it or not.
I hope
And that was
you-
before meeting us, too.
I
Yeah.
hope you didn't think that was a mistake.
Not at all. It's a pleasure and it's an honor, and I actually hold 3 nationalities.
3.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to, but no one ever asked me to give one
Give any
back,
back.
so I still have 3 passports.
I'll edit that out if you ask me. Check with your lawyer, and we'll.
I really
we'll
don't
talk-
care.
Got it
You know,
later.
we can negotiate with multiple nations on that. They
So
probably
you
none of
want
them want me
Yeah,
anyway.
it wants me the least.
And
But I'm proud to be Canadian, and I'm glad it came to fruition. I mean, I've been a business owner for 20 plus years, so I've always given back to that community.
that's nice.
But it's amazing to meet people that teach you history, and the network that you've created doing something you love is amazing.
When I was graduating from Conestoga, my mother always encouraged us all to travel and see things. And of course, I'd done across Canada and the Expo, and then I went to college for 3 years. And the first year, because we didn't start till January, we went right through to the end of August, or the end of July, and we had August off, and then we right back in September for a year or two to get caught up. Anyway, when I graduated, I would remember her say, you should go and see the world, see as much as you can. And so I phoned BOAC, which was British Overseas Airways, whatever. Now it's, what is it called? British Airways now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said, how much to charter a jet?
To charter.
And he said, what do you want? I said, I'm the student president of a college, and I'd like to call a student assembly, and we'll sell the plane out and I'm going to pitch it on you people should go and see some of the world before you get nailed down to a job or a marriage or whatever. And he said, well, I'll figure that out. He called me back. He said, $149 a head return if you sell it out. This is 1970. And so I called an assembly, and I said, here's the deal. You should take a trip before you get nailed down and see some. And here's how it works. We fly to Heathrow. You're on your own for 6 weeks. And we have to be back at Heathrow to fly home on this return. And you could bring buddies or friends, but we got to fill the plane. It was gone in a week and a half.
Wow.
And we flew to England, and I had 3 buddies from Harriston. And as soon as we landed in Heathrow, we bought another ticket to Amsterdam. And then we toured all around. We rented a car. I always remember it was an Opel Kadett.
Oh, my mom had one of those.
That was a Buick product.
Yeah.
And we rented this car, and we saw Holland, Germany, Switzerland, France. We had the best time. And then we dumped the car in Paris, and we took the train from Paris to Calais, and then the boat from Calais to Dover. And we made a mistake. I was trying to show off speaking French. And we checked all our luggage in Paris at a place to hold while we were touring around. And then we wanted it to go on the train. And partway along the way, I noticed everybody had their luggage underneath them or above or on their lap. And we were sitting there like in our short pants and our ball caps. And I finally got the conductor, and I said, where's our bagage? And I showed him my ticket. And, Paris. So our bags were all back in Paris. So I had to get off at Lille and sit in a train station until the train came back. And then I had to go back to Paris and retrieve the bags because I had the tags and I spoke better French than they did. And then I had bags for 4 guys under my arms. And I had 10 minutes to run across 50 sets of tracks to get on the back of a train and going back to pick up on my other ticket. And and I had to go through the cars, through the doors, through the cars to get to where I was supposed to sit. And all these bags banging and catching. My arms were 6 inches longer. and then I got on the boat, and they were already gone ahead. They were in England waiting for me. And
their luggage.
So I got off the boat, and I said, get me a bed and breakfast. I need to sleep. I was up all night. And so then we hired a car, the Godfrey Davis car rental, and we drove up to Scotland because one of the buddies' grandma lived in Paisley, and I had relatives live in Clarkston outside of Glasgow. And we went all the way to the top to Inverray and Aviemore and Crianlark and these little towns. And we participated in a fall fair. We were throwing straw with a fork over and that's what you said, you're a proud Canadian. I was always so proud to be a Canadian on that trip because people, as soon as they found out we were Canadians, they were so nice to us.
Yeah.
And we looked like Americans. They had a ball cap and shorts and a camera around your neck. But as soon as you said Canada, we didn't know about putting the flag on our shoulder.
You know, it's funny because to this day, I always have a Canadian pin somewhere on my luggage, on my person, because it is a different treatment.
Well, I said the most beautiful place of all that trip was Switzerland, but the most friendly was Scotland. They were so nice to us. And we stayed at this little bed and breakfast in a town, and there was only a pub and a couple of houses and a dance hall. And the old lady who was feeding us at the bed and breakfast, she said, "Are you going to the dance?" And we went to the dance. And the women all sit inside around the hall on the benches, and the men were all out in the cloakroom. Little flask getting fired up, ready to go. And then they shared it with us, and then we went and we danced and had a great old time and came home late. And
That's wild.
She let us in, and She had porridge and sausage and eggs and everything the next morning, and off we went again. And we got hit. One of the guys from my group he wanted to drive. I wouldn't let him drive in England because it was the wrong side of the road. But when we got up to Scotland, I said, "You can drive." But he was a terrible driver in Harriston, never mind Scotland. And he went around a curve, and there was a lorry in front of us, big tractor trailer, and he passed it on the curve, and another one coming right at us. And he froze, stopped right in the middle of the road, and they both went. But the one that we were passing came around, and the rear wheels hit our side of our car and went all the way, vroom, vroom, vroom. That whole side was rubbed shut. The doors were bent in.
Oh, no.
And we couldn't, you had to get out all on one side. And that's where the steering wheel was on the right. So we all had to climb out and climb in. And so I was really glad we took out the extra $7 insurance.
Really.
Yeah.
When you
Or
return,
you might still be living in Scotland.
$7 I paid extra for insurance. And when we drove back to the rental place in London after our trip, we went up the M1 and the A1 and down one side and up the other. And they couldn't believe we drove from London to Edinburgh in one day. That's a week's journey to those people.
Yeah.
Canada, that's nothing.
Yeah.
And so we had a great time, and we drove into the car rental place with the good side showing.
Yep. Why is everybody getting out on one side?
And a little man came out with a brown lab coat, very British, with a clipboard, and he was looking at the car for any marks or dings that were on it when we left. And he went around the other side, and what the bloody hell happened here? And away we went. We had insurance, and we handed it in. I had 35 cents left, and I knew that I had a ticket for the plane, and there was a meal on board, and we had a buddy from Harriston picking us up at Malton Airport.
Took it to the limit.
To get home. And we had a great time, and I tell my kids and grandkids that to go and see things.
Did you get a different perspective of the world from that?
Oh, sure.
From those 6 weeks?
And it was also, you learn that we are a global, community.
Yeah, we're not in
Absolutely.
And we need one another.
Yeah.
And that's what stresses me out now with this clown in the States. He's alienating himself from everybody in the world.
Yeah. Well, and you've got people like him in Canada trying to do the same thing.
Oh, yes. PP.
Yeah. PP. Don A.
Yeah, I tell you, it's on one hand, I say we're on the right end of the scale. I'm going to be checking out in no time, and I hope for my kids' and grandkids' sake. Like my grandson just graduated from computer science and game design, 4-year program. His twin sister graduated from Waterloo in biomedical science. She wants to be a doctor, and he got a job, thankfully. But I attended a session this morning on artificial intelligence. And they said one of the jobs you should not bother training for anymore is computer science and radiology. Radiologists can't do it near as well as AI can read the X-rays.
No, that's true.
But it's funny that you talked about radiology, because I was talking just Friday night with a doctor whose husband's a radiologist, and the fear of AI is real. But the one thing that he does that most radiologists don't do is that he can also perform physical manipulation during the radiology sessions.
Yes.
And that's something that, until AI replaces us all, the human factor is still. So if you can make yourself useful in whatever field it is, you have a better chance than most.
And one of the doctors at this morning's session, retired doctor, he said, well, what about communication? Speaking to a person about their situation, we can communicate with words and with feelings and with care, and the AI can't do it like that. And they can say, here's what's wrong.
But you've got such a stretched system that even they are having troubles doing that now. They don't have the time to do it.
It's a whole different ballgame.
But I think that the thing right there that you just talked about is that's the beauty of this and why we do this is so you can
I think it's
converse,
wonderful.
you
Good
can
for
look each other in the eye, you can see the facial expressions, you can feel in ways that the medium itself maybe doesn't lend itself for it, but for our conversation, it's vital to see the intonation of the eyes in what's being said.
In the last 3 years of my broadcast life, Chum came along. Mm-hmm. They bought the radio stations and the CTV. We were all owned by Electrohome. We were a local company with local roots and interests. And Chum came to town, bought the radio stations, separated us from TV, and within 9 months, all the senior people were gone. They called it restructuring, and we called it firing.
Yeah.
So there I was after 24 and a half years. I was just 6 months shy of the watch, and I was out of work. And
I was going to ask you about the fickleness of this industry now, and all of our friends who have lost jobs.
I had a speakers bureau who wanted to represent me, and they did. And I did workshops and seminars all across the country on humor and the power of laughter, exercise your humor option.
Yeah.
And I was so glad I had that because then that was what I got. That's the only, my wife came home when we had our first child and she never went back out. People would say, "Are you just at home? You don't work?" I said, "Listen, she works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She does the books, she does all the shopping, she does the housework, she raised the kids. I'm out earning it and she's spending it. And that's the way we work. We're still working that way. And I don't do paperwork. She does.
Yeah.
And anyway, when that happened, Chime, the boss at Chime came, it was the Rogers Group, and he phoned me and he said, "I want to talk to you about a job." So we had a clandestine meeting off in some restaurant somewhere so he could talk to me. And I thought it was about sales because I was in sales and management all my life. And so I kept asking questions like the budget and how many people you got selling and what's your local versus national. And I would go into the whole thing. And he says, "No, I'm not. Are you talking sales?" I said, "Yeah, aren't you?" He said, "No." He said, "Everywhere I go, you're emceeing and speaking. I want you on the air." Oh, I said, "Well, that's interesting because that's what I wanted to do." But basic greed kept me in sales because it paid so much better.
It's more money, yeah.
And I was earning good six-figure income before it was very popular. And anyway, so now he's talking. I said, "Well," he said, "we're flipping our AM from a country station to a news talk." And he said, "I want you to do the afternoon drive, and I'm going to get Jeff Aitchison to do the morning show." Jeff worked at CKCO, and I worked upstairs in radio, and so we all knew one another. And I said, "Well, that sounds like fun." But then after being fired, I knew enough to write into my contract what I needed to know. So as long as I got the traffic and the weather together on every however many minutes, the rest of the content was mine.
Yeah.
And like you say, I could talk to people and I could engage, and the audience loved it.
Right. They did.
On Friday, I phoned my barber, who's in Waterloo Square, Joe the Barber.
Joe the Barber. He was, when I had hair, he was my barber.
He's the thick Italian accent. And the consultant they had out of Vancouver said, "That'll never work. That guy's got an accent. He's not a regular white guy, I guess." Anyway, I put Joe on. It was called Chair Chatter with Joe the Barber. What are people saying? And I'd phone him at 1 o'clock, and I'd say, "Here's the topics today are going to be the Prime Minister said this, the potholes on King Street, and the Maple Leafs lost again." And so, he's right. I said, "Not now. Wait till I call. I want to do it live with you once."
G&T Barbershop.
I'd call him, and he was ready to go. And, of course, he talks to people all week long, and he knew what people were thinking.
Yeah.
And he had lots of ammunition. And he'd get very emotional and with that thick Italian accent. And And people loved him.
Oh, yeah.
I bet.
People drive home from work and they'd park in their driveway and wouldn't go in until Joe was finished. They didn't want him. And then I phoned a cab driver in New York on Thursday. His name was Peter Franklin. And he billed himself as the Gabby Cabby. And he also said he was the last white English-speaking cab driver in New York. and he was funny. And he would talk to me about all his stuff. He liked wrestling and he liked this. But it didn't matter if he was at United Nations or Times Square. He had a guy in the back seat, an ambassador, and he'd pull over and take my call. He said, just a minute. I said, just a minute, I got to take this call. It's a radio station in Canada. And then there was another feature we did, Small Town. And my producer would say, I was born in a small town, that song. He'd play that. And then I had talked enough about Harriston that they all knew I was born in a small town. And then we had a town somewhere in Canada we'd call. From Armpit, Alberta to somewhere in Nova Scotia, Mabel's Luncheons. And we'd set it up earlier in the day, and then they were expecting our call. And the people would be around the lunch counter listening, and it was fabulous fun. And we had incredible ratings.
And they paid you for it.
And they paid me. Yeah, and I had a traffic lady, Sherry Lawler, and Rick was my producer. And normally they have him out there behind glass and her out there behind glass. And I said, I want them in with me in the studio.
Yeah.
Why? Because I used to talking to people. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Most radio announcers like the safe and sacred repository of the womb. They're in there all by themselves, and they can caress that microphone, and they can talk to it. And they.
I wish we had video here so we could people listening can see it here.
Anyway, I wanted people in so I could get reaction, and so they came in, and you'd hear her clicking away on her keyboard, getting the weather and the traffic ready for me, and he was on the other side, and we all had headsets and microphones. So then if I said something, they laughed. And then one day I was going on a rant about the symphony orchestra. And I said, now listen, this KW Symphony is in trouble. We got to raise money. This is way back whenever, 97 or 8. And it was having a bit of a blip then. So we need to raise money for the orchestra. And Winnipeg lost theirs. Hamilton has lost theirs. We don't want to lose it in Kitchener-Waterloo. We need the symphony. It's part of our cultural, German, ethnic, whatever. And I was doing around, and we don't want it to go the way of the dildo.
Oh, no.
And they started laughing. And I said, what? And he says, don't you mean the dodo? And I said, what did I say? and she says, she's laughing. She says, the dildo is still very much with us. And of course, the guy who was our production, he taped all the shows so he could play clips for tomorrow. Here's what they did yesterday. And so that one he clipped, and he wouldn't play it again because they were all afraid of somebody saying dildo on the radio. But he sent it to San Francisco to one of those famous blooper tapes.
Oh, yeah?
And it played all across the United States.
Oh, that's the best.
You don't get that anymore.
So I had a lot.
AI can't do that.
No, I had a lot of fun on radio, and we brought
you remember
people who wrote books, and I had ministers, I had politicians, I had Ray Natitian, who was the lieutenant or governor general. I had some John Belleville when he turned down the governor general's job, and I said, "Why did you do that?" Because he would have been the perfect gentleman of all NHLers.
Yep.
And he said, my daughter has cancer. And we're doing family. And that we broke that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we broke another story about a guy in Paris who, what was his name? He just some scandal. Oh, he absconded with a lot of people's money. He was a finance guy, and he sang in the choir in my brother's church. My brother was a minister in Paris at the time. I'm trying to remember his name. Doesn't matter. Anyway, his daughter, he took off with his daughter and went to England or Scotland, and they had a baby. He and his daughter.
Oh, jeez.
No. It was a huge scandal.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was written all up in the paper, and I called his wife, and I said, "This is terrible." And she had Toronto Star, Toronto Sun, Global TV, hiding outside her house, trying to get a story. And I said, "Why don't you come in and talk with me, and we'll blow it up and get it done with." And she agreed, and she came in, and it made headlines in all the Toronto papers, and we broke that story. I like breaking stories that were worthwhile.
Yeah, it's human.
And she was so good, and she said, I just want people to leave us alone.
Yeah. And
we've had enough problem. And, of course, what the media says about us is so different. I said, I know. And I said, your husband ripped my mom off for $60,000 because she believed in him, as did a lot of people, seniors particularly. And they finally got him. In England, he was assuming another name. He killed the guy.
Gee.
And was wearing.
I remember the story, but I'm trying to remember
his name. Anyway, they finally got him and brought him back to Canada and put him in jail. And his daughter and her child came home and started a new life. And
how do you do that?
Oh boy, man. It was really something. And so I had some real good hard radio stuff some days, and the next day it was absolute nonsense. We had fun, but people listened.
You were on when old buddy Hoppy.
Oh, Hoppy was
Hogden.
John Hogben.
Hogben.
His name was John Hodges on the radio, and he'd say, and say, friends, this is your old buddy Hoppy with some country classics here. And he was a salesman all week long, but on the weekends he was a cowboy DJ with old-time country music.
And he'd always do the furniture commercials.
Family furniture. And Lucky's Tire Sales and Service in good old Elmira. Hadco, where you can get a well in a day the Hadco way. And he smoked cigars, and back then you could smoke in the control room. It was a layer of smoke and hop in there. I spoke at his funeral.
Yeah. Well, his son is on our street.
Dave.
Yeah. I play golf with him all the time.
Is everybody's kid on your street?
Pretty well. I mean, we are the epicenter of all things cool. It is true.
And just a couple of years ago.
Our audience here wants to move onto our street. He's been looking for a house.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the epicenter of fun.
It is the epicenter.
There is a house across from my house on my street if you want to move to my street.
It's not the epicenter.
Well, it could be if he moves there.
I don't know.
Anyway, I've met some very interesting people in my life.
Sounds it.
And this emceeing hobby or fun, it's taken me up wonderful places. Like the Sleeping Children Around the World is a cause started by Murray and Margaret Dryden. And I interviewed Murray Dryden on the air years and years ago, and he was in India somewhere with his wife, and they were walking down the street, and they tripped over what thought was a bundle of rags, and here was a little kid sleeping. Mm. So he came home and said, I'm going to take some bed kits over there the next time we go. And he was the father of Ken and Dave Dryden and Judy, and he said, my kids have all done well. And over the years, he went around talking on radio, he spoke at Lions and service clubs, and about sleeping children. For $25 you can buy a bed kit, and it would be Canada's only 100% charity, because the people who went and delivered them went on their own dime.
Right.
And they were called ambassadors. And one of my friends who owns McGregor Meats and Seafoods in Toronto, Dunk McGregor, I knew him through barbershopping. And I emceed all the barbershop shows for years and contests, and I did the international in Toronto for 10,000 people, and had fun in Hartford and Salt Lake City and various places. it was fun. And anyway, Dunk asked me to come to Toronto at the Royal York when the interest rates were getting low and they weren't making enough money on Murray Dryden's donation. He donated his Christmas tree farm, sold it, and all that money went in the Sleeping Children Fund. And then he donated their home on Pinehurst,
Wow.
where the two Dryden boys played goal in the backyard. They had the backyard paved and iced and a net on each end, and they were both NHL goalies.
Yeah.
And so he donated that, and that became the office of Sleeping Children around the world. And still today, it's Canada's only 100% charity, but for the last 12 years, I've gone down every year in May to the Royal York Hotel, and we filled the ballroom with 700 plus people, and we'd raise $100,000 in a breakfast.
Wow.
We called it Toronto's most expensive breakfast. $150 for bacon and eggs. And then we had raffles and door prizes and stuff all through. And we bring in a great speaker. And so Dave Chilton came with me one time, and Paul Henderson and Silken Lehmann and Pinball Clements and a lot of these interesting athletes and speakers. And so we raised all that money and still do it every year. I'm having a luncheon meeting coming up in a week with the guy who's organizing it, and doing it again in next May.
Well, I think you made the wrong decision. I think you should have stayed in the 9 to 5, slaughterhouse job, because your life sounds very boring and you never met anybody.
And one way, my wife woke me up last summer and at the cottage, and my birthday is July 30th, and Ken Dryden's was August 5, same day as my dad. And I sent him a text or whatever on happy birthday wishes with some smart remark, because he always responded right away with some equally retort. And I didn't hear back from him. And Helen woke me up and she said, I got bad news. I said, what? She said, Ken Dryden died.
Yeah.
I was stunned. It was a gut punch.
Yeah, I bet.
Because we were such good friends. And I had my picture taken with him just a few months before. And we were laughing. We had done this all these years, and we never had our picture taken yet. And so I was so glad we did.
Yeah, really.
And here he had been suffering with cancer for 2 years and hadn't told anybody.
Didn't tell anyone. Yeah.
Only told his wife and his kids. And so suddenly he was gone.
Huh.
And he had internal cancer organ. 78, same age as me, and healthy as a horse, looking terrific. We sold tickets, one arm's length or wingspan for the 50-50 draw, and we used Ken Dryden at the biggest arm spread.
The biggest span.
Stretch the tickets out.
I want a Dryden, please.
And that's what we called it. And so there were so many of this. And I'm just going to London on the 9th to bury another broadcast friend, Bill Brady from London, who was incredible Canadian. And he started off as a morning man. They called him the mayor of the morning. And he ended up being the president of Blackburn Broadcasting, the London Free Press. And
wow.
And he was a columnist, and he wrote 3 books. And he raised millions of dollars for the University London Health Sciences. And he said that was a great place to have a heart attack. He was in having a knee fixed one time, and he had a heart attack right there. And they fixed me and got me right back. And he could tell stories like a trooper. I met him when we have broadcast conventions. Back in the day, the representatives had beautiful hospitality suites. And you'd go to the suites for a libation and a sandwich and a visit. And so he had been there telling a joke one day. And one of my friends said, that reminds me, you should tell him one of yours. So after a bit of coaching, I said, okay, I'll tell one. And he loved it. And then that reminded him of another one, and he told one. And then I told one.
Oh, my God. It would be like dueling jokes.
A joke-off.
It was called a joke-off. And it was the annual event for years.
That's awesome.
And we'd all come in with who's got one now. And limericks was another thing. I loved limericks, and I had a friend who was a barbershopper in Toronto, and he could write limericks. You'd tell him your name, and within 10 minutes he'd have a limerick. He and I celebrated our birthday on the same day, except he was 20 years older than me. So he died on his 80th birthday. I was 60.
60, yeah.
And the last couple of years he was in a home because his wife died and the kids put him in a home where he needed some care. And he phoned me and he said, "Come and get me out of here." And so I went down to Toronto and he said, "Here's what you do. You sign in at the front, tell them you're coming to see McBride, and then you come down the hall. We'll have a visit for 20 minutes, and then you leave, sign out, and get in your car and come around to the side of the building. There's a crash bar door there that I have to get out fast because the alarm will go. And have your car ready to go." So I pulled up, bang, out he comes, the alarm goes, he jumps in, go! So off we went down and we went and bought a Mickey, and we had hamburgers and French fries, and we laughed and visited and told stories all day. And then it was time to take him back. I said, "Now what are we going to do?" He said, "Just dump me out on the street, and I'll walk in." And because he didn't want me to be in trouble, so they didn't know I was gone as far as they were concerned. And they couldn't figure out where he was. They were looking all over for him. They had called the cops. And he came in.
All points bulletin.
He came in and he said, "I have no idea where I was. I don't know what happened." And they sent him back to his room and gave him hell. And
why is there whiskey on your breath?
I don't know.
and he wrote a story about the day Neil sprung McBride. and at his funeral, it was the funniest funeral you ever were at in your life because he was such a storyteller and a character.
Brady guys it's just a different breed.
Oh yeah, and he was he was in the sign business.
Oh, he wasn't in the...
He was in the barbershoppers.
Oh, he was a barbershopper.
He was part of the East York chapter and all these Ontario competitions, and I got to know them all because I was the MC.
Yeah.
So they all thought they knew me, but people, if they came up and we were connected.
Who ran the barbershop here?
Oh, here, Terry Hallman was he's still the director now. Lyle Pettigrew, Dave Litwiller, various people. But Terry's been the director for a number of years.
Who were you talking to? Someone on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't recall.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But anyway, it's old.
Well, if you want to go to dog night, I get an invite every year. I've only been once. But it's a fun night with the boys. It really is.
I've sung with the barbershoppers.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I was with, I had a choir that I directed. I was with the Philharmonic, too.
Yes.
And I'd be asked I'd have friends who were in there, and they'd ask me to come in for the, they always had their nights of trying to get members.
Oh, yeah, recruitment.
When
I was involved, we were a 110-man chorus.
It was a big one, yeah.
We competed internationally. Wow. And our goal was to be in the top half because we were competing against Dallas and Chicago and Miami and New York, these huge choruses with big budgets and professional directors. And our goal, Lyle Pettigrew was our director at that time. He was a teacher at Waterloo Oxford in New Hamburg.
And how did you guys do?
Andy McPherson.
We were number
telling us about
8.
Wow.
Out of 16. So we were in the
Listen
top half. Andy McPherson, his dad, Ken McPherson, was a director for a while.
There we go. Okay, I'm not losing it.
Andy's playing vibes. And
we had him on a podcast.
Jazz.
Yeah. Brilliant guy. Great guy.
He was here for an episode. Very interesting.
Yeah, his dad and I were friends, and his mother, Arlene, worked for the Working Center, and she did a lot of great work with that.
Right.
And so, we were honored her one year as the Working Center Mayor's Dinner honoree.
Nice.
We've had lots of fun over the years with lots of those people.
What are your thoughts on sort of the state of community in the region here?
Well, we have to keep making sure people get out and get connected.
Yeah.
And since COVID, there's a whole lot less.
Yeah.
And people are on their devices, and people don't sit and visit
No.
like they did.
No, they
This
don't.
is very
And it's
interesting.
a hurry up.
I'm running off at the mouth like a soup sandwich, but it's been a long time since somebody asked me all this.
This is what we love about this format. I mean, you can just set up. It's like a coffee setting.
Where'd you get the Coke?
My fridge.
Oh,
Did you want a water?
yes, I
I've
think
got
that'd be lovely.
right down there.
Have we?
Yeah, I brought it specifically.
Cold?
Yeah.
That's good.
I've got
Ants.
Nobody ever bites on those ants.
Thank you.
Well, we run a hot shop.
Have we covered everything?
You know, it's an honor to have you here to hear your take on all these things. It's a perspective that most people will never get a chance to hear until now. And they see you as that performer that's always at places that they've been.
Yes.
But most people don't get a chance to interact because the forum doesn't lend itself for that.
That's right.
And it's understandable.
That's right.
But
And
you're just another guy, and you're a very interesting guy, and you've had a very interesting life. But it's
I
very,
don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, but it doesn't matter.
and that
We'll
you know,
have you on when you figure it out.
to be fair, I feel the same way about what I do. Is
Yes.
I get to do something that most people either choose not to or don't get a chance to, and it's my everyday, and it's my everything, and it's great. And I smile, and I was going to ask you one final question is, how do you sleep?
Like a dead man.
I ask that because I sleep exactly the same way, because I get to do what I love every day. And when I close my eyes, I'm unconscious until I'm not. And it's always like, wow, where was I?
I'm very fortunate. I
Yeah,
sleep
same.
8 hours, 7.5 or 8,
Yeah.
and never get up in the night. And my friends all, you don't?
Oh, where are you putting
People
it?
with tiny
Do you have a
bladder.
catheter?
And my wife, bless her heart, she's up 3 or 4 times a night draining the potatoes. And she is a saint. But she does all the worrying, I'm afraid. And I go to sleep. I conk out. I have sleep apnea. I put my little mask on and gone. And I'm sure that's why my dad died young. He and I were built exactly the same. We could wear each other's clothes. I could even wear his glasses, our shoe size, everything.
Wow.
And he snored like a train. And one night he had a heart attack, and that was it. And I took a sleep test 20 or 30 years ago now. And my heart was stopping something like 90 times an hour.
Jeez.
The deepest sleep I had was 28 seconds.
Huh.
And and my wife kept hitting me. And finally I heard about this sleep test. So I went in and they said, oh boy, you're lucky you haven't had some illness. Because the word rest comes from restore.
Correct.
And you have to restore every night. And the only way your body restores is with a minimum of 4 hours deep sleep. And so all these organs restore every night from the wear and tear and the intake and the food and the drink and whatever you've done. And you have to restore every night. And I wasn't. They said, you will now. And I've just, by the grace of God, I didn't have a heart attack or something. And so here I am all these years later. I'm on my third machine. I keep one at the cottage and one at home. So I just, and
here we have
I'd say it's also something to
my
to have
son
done.
wears it too. And it's amazing. I told Bernie Malul about it one day I was in. He said, oh, maybe I should look into it. And he and his wife are both on one. And Jim Erb, regional counselor, friend of mine, he said, does anybody ever, are they never told they need one? Don't need one? And he has one. I said, I have some friends who
were told
I go on golf trips and they're all carrying their their bags of.
I used to go to a stag weekend up at a resort with the barbershoppers, and 12 guys on the top floor of the old inn, and 8 of us had sleep machines.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. And so And I really am lucky. I sleep.
And I asked because I'm lucky enough too, and I'm an instant sleeper.
Yeah.
I close my eyes and I go to sleep.
Same
I'm blessed because I've been with people that don't have that ability to sleep that way, and it doesn't allow them to recharge.
And tossing and turning is so frustrating. I'm sure my wife has enough. Sometimes she said I was awake till 2 or I was awake till 3. Mm-hmm. And I said, go. She's chewing her gummies. She's doing this. She's doing all the things she can. But it tends to be a female thing too.
Yeah.
But she is a saint in everything she does for us and our kids and our grandkids. Best shopper.
Sounds like you got a good deal.
Very good.
You did
deal.
well, or she did well. Both.
I did very well.
It's a team thing.
It's
You've
both.
got a great family there. And your kids are like that too.
And my daughter is very much that way. She's like my mother as well. She invites everybody in, come on in, and let's have a game of cards around the table. And a lot of people need to visit and play cards and chat. And
No, when I was growing up, it was a family thing, and so I had a big Latin family, and my mother and her sisters were.
Well, that used to be the way of life around here.
And it's
You'd
not
have
that.
my wife's family every weekend. The whole family would get together and play cards, and friends would come over and play cards. It was very social, very get together ish. Not so much anymore. Yeah, is it midnight yet?
look at that time.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah,
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
I thought our engineer
Yeah.
fell asleep. So.
That's your
in.
job,
Yeah.
Steve. That's your job, engineer.
Yeah.
Well, he's a tech guy. He's a music guy. He's
the smart guy.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Whenever
is.
we have people here that, musicians, he gets a little more animated. We can start talking to him. Who do we have? Your mom? Special shout out to Steve's mom, our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan.
Yeah,
Fan number one.
fan number one.
We only
Yep.
have 2, but
What's her name?
Tina.
Tina. Oh, hi, Tina. I've been told for years that I have a perfect face for radio.
What did Tina say to you? That you were more. Oh, when Kevin Coates was on.
Oh, yeah. We had Kevin
you,
on.
Yeah, and you were speaking more than you normally do, and she said, you sound good. You're good. You're good. You should talk more.
Well, that's good. And when do you hear this? It's just any time. It's not at a given time.
We'll clean it up and put an intro on it because we don't know
But
where
I mean-
this is going.
But I mean, this isn't on like 8 o'clock.
no.
Nope.
It's whenever you want to listen. And
So it's any time.
the beauty of
Yep.
podcasting is, I'm a guy that drives. I like to listen to someone talking when I'm in the car.
Yes.
But I drive around Waterloo, so I'm never in the car for very long. So a conversation like this, I can hear over a week in little snippets, and you just stop and you get out of the car and then you get back in. It just auto turns on again, and you're like, oh yeah, I was back in this
And
conversation.
how do you know how many are listening or
There's a website that
He knows.
on
He
our
tells
end,
us.
Oh, I
for the
see.
back end of it all. It gives you metrics,
I see.
but this one will be available probably Tuesday morning, like next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
morning.
Yeah.
and you can tell if somebody's listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we can't tell who, but
No.
Well,
we'll
it tells
get
you
the
what
numbers
country and
Yeah.
what,
Oh, you mean different countries?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It tells you what country they're from.
we have a big contingent in South America. Ed's family, I think.
Isn't that
Tells
fun?
you whether
Family
it's
and
on-
friends.
This is a new world
Yeah.
It is. It's
for me, particularly.
For
this
us
is your
too.
first podcast.
Yes.
This
Oh,
is a
fantastic.
man.
Oh,
Yeah, that
we are lucky.
yeah, we were all we're incredibly lucky.
There's a priest in the States who does
He's a
don't-
podcast?
but you see him on YouTube, and he talks to people about everything and anything. And he's fast. Father somebody,
Yeah,
and I've caught him a few times on YouTube.
yeah.
Very
Well, we put
interesting.
ours up on YouTube because not everybody listens to a podcast through
But
that.
this was video, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
you-
we're not there yet.
No.
We're all too pretty for that.
yeah.
Well,
We'd be all vying for the camera,
I can appreciate that. It's
but nobody really wants to watch a podcast.
I had fun on radio. Like it was fun.
I can only imagine.
The theater of the mind, we paint some pictures, and people really liked it.
I bet. I wish I had done this, 40 years ago, because I think I would have enjoyed this ride just as much. I think
You got the voice for it.
It's
and
a
the face.
fascinating medium for sure.
Oh, it is.
But this is the way of today, is podcasts, and so
And for a guy who earned my living selling commercials, now they drive me nuts.
Yeah,
I
and
can
that's
only
the other
imagine.
beautiful part of a
We
podcast.
record-
Well, we would have been bad for your
We
business.
do insert some of Ed's commercials.
We record
Oh, yeah.
our TV programs even, and fast forward through the commercials. And it was my life. My wife was national sales secretary, so she took care of the national. I took care of local and national radio. But here we are, not like
avoiding it.
And then watching the World Series this year, those commercials that reach and frequency drove me nuts watching
it's
all
bad.
those. The same over and over and over.
It's almost like to watch TV, you have to watch. That's the best thing about the clicker is the return button.
Yeah.
So that you have another game on that's on at the same time, and then hopefully the commercials aren't in sync, and you
Back
can
and forth.
go
They've
back and
gotten
forth.
pretty
Yeah.
good at syncing them, though.
No, they are pretty good at it. But
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to meet you all.
It was great.
Do this.
I am so honored that we are your first podcast. I'm sure we won't be your last.
It's a new medium for you.
It is. It is.
It's sort of fun.
and you can do it from anywhere, but it's best where others sit with you,
Oh, I agree.
because you can also do it on the little camera things, but
Oh no,
The Zoom thing.
the Zoom world
like
is
I
not
say
for me.
when I had my radio show, I liked it when they were in the booth
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So
We're
we
all
can-
about this whole thing about community, but authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't. I mean, unless you want something, unless you said dildo my mistake and weren't allowed to say it, we could cut that out.
Oh no, that's
But
fine.
we,
Oh, we're keeping
you know the
that
name.
in. We're keeping that in.
You do know the name of our. It's Founders Music Lab.
Yes, Founders Music Lab.
Yeah, but it's FML.
What's that?
It means fuck my life.
Well, now this part isn't on, right?
Yeah. See, you're old school.
It's allowed. You have to check a box on
Yeah.
the service that
It's
that
not for
publishes
It's
to
not
say
for
it's not
kids.
for kids, and then you can say whatever you want.
Oh, well.
But
Like,
yeah, there's
like
a
my friend
lot
who
of
did the
latitude.
limericks.
Yeah, so he threw a.
He said limericks have to be naughty to be funny.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We were riding on a bus in Wales or somewhere, and a bunch of barbershoppers, and I always took the seat behind the driver where the microphone was.
No.
Where's the microphone? oh, thanks, buddy.
And see.
And scene. That's amazing. Thanks, Neil.
Forget what you think you know about Colombian coffee. This isn't just another bean. This is the raw beating heart of Santander in your cup. We pull this liquid gold directly from the soul of its lush, elevated landscapes where generations have poured their very essence into cultivating something extraordinary. Every single sip isn't just a journey, it's a declaration of flavor that screams Colombia. This is Santander, pure and unfiltered, at its absolute finest, the unmistakable soul of a nation's craft. From our earth, this coffee is simply done right. Taste the damn difference.